Atlanta United fans rejoice. Miguel Almirón is on his way back to Major League Soccer. It's a crazy time to be talking about that, having that conversation today. So, with that said, I couldn't think of anybody better to bring on to Wake Up MLS, an OG of the show, to have this conversation in depth and remind us of what 2018 kind of felt like. We got AJ from Atlanta United Fan TV here today, again, to help me break all this down, to react to this major news, right? I got a team full blown, I guess you could say somewhat of a rebuild, and the pieces that you guys are adding are making waves in this league, man. We're going to talk about it. Let's jump right in. I don't want to waste any more time. Look, man, take me back a little bit, AJ, right? First and foremost, before we even get into like just the transfer, the reaction to it, I said it before, bro, you're an OG of this show. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Thanks as always for having me. And yeah, man, you guys are doing some big stuff as well, man. I see it. I see you guys. You know,
part of me doesn't want to talk about it, but you know, it's
yeah.
It feels like you guys felt last year. You know what I mean? It feels like you know Dallas is almost kind of going into their own rebuild mode. We'll save that video for another time. But yeah, man, look, talk to me, bro. Miguel Almirón, how you're feeling about this? Well, before we even get to the transfer happening, right? When the rumors started swirling, you're as dialed into this team as anybody else on the planet. What were you feeling, right? Did it feel like this is something good that Atlanta United fans should be getting excited about, or has this time at Newcastle United maybe changed how you feel about Almirón?
I mean, yeah, great question. I think it's this. I was personally stoked when he was rumored to us, like properly rumored. There have been little whispers of like, okay, you know, when Charlotte kind of had his discovery rights and maybe he was going there, it was like, oh yeah, we can't let this happen. This is blasphemous almost at this point. He cannot go to a rival. That's just asinine. But yeah, when it actually properly kind of got that rumor train going, and it was like, okay, this is legitimately a possibility, even in spite of it's a Newcastle career that isn't exactly kind of just full brimming with stats, but he did have some moments there and a good spell where, you know, he was on a good scoring run. But I think Newcastle fans, you can see that they're going to miss him. There's, goodbye videos. There's tifos out there. You can tell with your reactions with how fans are reacting underneath posts that are, if it's Fabrizio Romano, if it's Tom Bogert, yeah, they're seeking it out, and they're like, yeah, you guys are still getting a good one. Like, his work rate is still unparalleled for most of the players in the world. Really, he's just one of those hardworking, forwards that I think you just can't. It's that quintessential English work rate that he just, at the very least, he does, and it's proven that. Yeah, fans appreciate it. So I think that's one of the major things I think that he still will carry over. But I think for me, finding out that it was gonna be Miguel Almirón, it made a lot of sense to a degree, because I think there are aspects of it where we're short on the wings in terms of quality, in terms of last year just kind of at times having to rock with Tyler Wolff, Edwin Mosquera, Shane Silva underperforming for most of the entire season. I mean, just Saba really on the wings that was really performing on a consistent basis made it really difficult for us to score goals. And having somebody as direct and vertical as Miguel Almirón, who, maybe lost a step or two, in the Prem, but that's 6 years. That's a long time. Most people are going to lose a step or two. But, I think he gained some nous, some technical things as well, knowing how to shape, his either his foot, his runs, just a lot of things that's I think at the very least, it's still this. He is a Prem quality player. He may not be starting, but to be able to get a Prem quality player is, one of the, I don't know, there's not many teams that have been able to do that in this offseason. And, you look at it as a comparison maybe to Wilfred Zaha with Charlotte FC, where they got him, but he came from the Turkish league. It's, yes, Zaha has a longer pedigree of performing in the Prem, but Miguel Almirón is more recently a Prem player. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he acclimates back. In which case, he hasn't really played a ton of minutes. He's fallen out of favor with Eddie Howe, obviously. So he probably may not need a proper preseason. He's probably already match fit to a degree. But definitely exciting times for a lot of Atlanta United fans. And the engagement has already skyrocketed. There is, I think an argument possibly of, could he tarnish his legacy? But I'll let you ask that question to me if you want to know.
Yeah, man, 100%. I mean, we talk about legacy, right? You see things like this, and you guys posted this a little bit earlier. This is what it means to the fans, right? He's back, and it brings up nostalgia in the best way, right? I mean, granted, he was 24-ish when he left, and so now coming in as a 30-year-old, it means you're 100% right. It means something a little bit different from the purely a soccer perspective. But when you think about signings that get the fans reinvigorated for the new season, especially coming off of the high, and I will call it a high, from 2024, taking down Messi in Miami, right? Despite the fact that you didn't really kind of make it beyond that next round, the playoffs, you weren't predicted to go that far anyway in terms of Atlanta. So it felt like you were kind of playing with house money. And I think fans were kind of itching for the offseason to see how the front office would retool, right? In a big way. And I think when you look at, if you were to remove Miguel Almiron's name, right? Take the name away and just focus on a 30-year-old Premier League proven player who has fallen out with a top 4 team and manager. Keep that in mind as well, right? Top 5 maybe-ish, depending on the week. But, still a top team in the Premier League whose bread and butter is work ethic, right? And the fact that he does have the quality to also finish off more than his fair chances of well. I would also say when he had that run at Newcastle, the goals he was scoring were not just consistently coming through to an extent, but they were also some pretty damn good goals. Like I think that, his ability to, again, just garner the fans around him, right? There's an admiration and an adoration, if you will, right? Like fans just adore him and like really what he stands for. And him coming back, whether he's able to mimic that previous form with Atlanta United or not, I don't think he'll be judged, or I don't think this transfer will be judged the way that other $10 million transfers will be judged across the league. The likes of Brendan Vasquez going to Austin FC, the way Petar Musa kind of had a microscope on him from Dallas' perspective last year, costing $12 million. So it's like one of those things where you want to be able to make sure that the fans can get behind big signings like this, and there's no better way to do it than Miggy. Like regardless of what the performance actually looks like in year one, I think fans just don't care, right? We see it kind of with Michael Parkhurst here on the front screen. They're just glad he's back, man, and that's the reaction, right? Is like you got to be pumped. I can only imagine what it would be like, right? Somewhere down the road, if I'm trying to think of like someone who was like really like Breck Shea. If he had gone, left MLS, and then came back in the day, bro, I'd have been fucking pumped. I would have been I'd have been shouting from the rooftops, bro. And that's how I imagine, right? Atlanta United fans must feel just all the way through. So when you think about now, go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, no, I'm saying it's like it almost feels surreal. It almost feels like, okay, this is the shot in the arm that we really needed, and it really comes at a really opportune time. I think especially for Garth Lagerwey, because yes, there are some people that are getting a little his the deliberation that he takes with some of the moves and basically how much he's preaching patience it can be a thing where some fans are starting to lose some of that patience. But this is a goodwill move that is smart, timely, and yeah, it pulls on the nostalgia strings. But it also, yeah, you see it with the Michael Parkhurst leak that yeah, we get to do some fun stuff again. That really gets some people reinvigorated because, yeah, first captain for LA United, leaking the kit, as well as
Oh man.
putting Miguel Almirón in the mirrored picture is it's breaking the internet right now, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, there's a lot of kit leaks right now. There's a lot of kit leaks right now. The good news is, right, Atlanta United's kit always looks fire. Just it's the color scheme, bro, and the stripes. It always looks fire. I've never once complained about Atlanta United's kit. But Parker's, man, he's moving mad. He's moving mad right now. But look, man, I mean, like touching a little bit more on a point you mentioned before, right? That last little point about if this move doesn't pan out in the most positive way possible, right? And I'm not saying with the title, and that terms of a culmination, right? And no one's expecting that. But if he doesn't live up to the price tag, so to speak, do you really think that his legacy is on the line? Like, do you really believe that that fans will look at his time collectively with Atlanta United differently?
I mean, because yeah, it's rumored to be a 5-year, and so yeah, obviously the first 2 years were incredible, and that's really difficult to beat anyway. I think there is an aspect of it that is playing with house money, because at this point, coming from the last 5 years, most of anything is probably better than what the last 5 years really brought for Atlanta United fans. So this already, just the excitement, I think there's a level of it. As long as he stays healthy for the duration, and for hopefully most of it, I think Atlanta United fans will be happy. He doesn't have to score double-digit goals and assists like he did pretty much with us the first couple of years. But I think, yeah, there is a projection that he probably can reach at least, double-digit goals. The assists, we'll see. We'll see if we have someone that can finish some of the chances that he'll create. But I think there's a bit of it where he and Moranchuk, it'll be a question of, yeah, how can they coexist? Obviously they're kind of, at least when Miggy was with Eliana the first time, he was the number 10, but this time he's probably going to be a little bit more on the wings, and maybe spelling Moranchuk, maybe switching positions with him in a little bit more fluid manner during a game. And I think that adds for a little bit more chaos, adds for a little bit more unpredictability for opponents. And especially, having Miggy drive through the middle of the park, I mean, that's when he's at his dangerous and most dangerous. And that's where I think he strikes fear into MLS defenses, because, I mean, it's just, no one really likes players that, put you on your back foot and then you're backpedaling and you're having to, make up a ton of ground. I mean, he's just, he was at times during his first tenure, one of the kind of one-man, counterattacks, one-man fast breaks. And if he has a running partner, which I think Saba would be definitely one of those guys, and if we can get a striker that can also run with him, we are off to the races. And yeah, it's as scary of an attack as it gets in MLS. And the real question for us really at that point is just, how do we stop the goals from going in? Because yeah, on paper, defense is okay, but yeah, sometimes we still ship goals that are very perplexing. But
yeah, fair enough. I think that's probably more than a few teams in MLS. But I also see a world where he fits. Like, do you not see a world where the big three, the front three, are Almiron, Miranchuk, and insert striker?
Correct.
Right. That's probably your ideal front three, wouldn't you say?
That would be, but obviously, Moranchuk would play through the middle a little bit more. Yeah, maybe on the wings on a side that we're controlling matters a little bit more.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it's a side that offers different dynamic, and
Mm.
that's really important. I think when when it comes to MLS, yeah, if you have more than one way of playing, yeah, you're going to be able to tear apart some teams. That's if they're well, it's this. He isn't the type of player that maybe necessarily will be able to break down a low block, but if we're going to play, maybe at times where we are more direct, I think that's where he will be able to help us immensely, and he still has some technical ability to be able to, help break down some of the teams as well at times. But I don't think we're going to be relying on him as much there. I think it's more Moranchuk for that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think depending on what striker you guys get, that's also maybe another kind of piece to this puzzle, right? That might answer the question for us. Because you mentioned before, right? Saba could do a lot of work on the other flank too. So you have some depth or some rotation possibilities there. But when we look at the names, right? Because you think about who's going to come in and be that striker, you guys are about to throw some money around, bro. It really looks that way. I mean, you're looking at again, for me, I do believe just looking at what Atlanta United has right now, I'll be honest, and maybe this is a little bit of recency bias because of the fact that I'm a Barcelona fan and we just played Benfica. But watching Arthur Cabral play, who's someone I've seen really since his time at what's the starts with a B. What was the last club he was with? It was
Oh yeah, it's not coming to my head either.
it's a
Give me
Swedish
sec.
club. Or a Swiss club. It's a Swiss club. Basel.
Basel. Yep.
Yeah. So since his time at Basel, he's someone that I think is an interesting striker. He seems very clinical. He isn't necessarily like the speediest guy. He's not going to necessarily win a 50-yard dash to get to center back. But I think what he offers in terms of aerial ability, clinical finishing on the ground, right, and of course just tons of European experience along the way. Someone who's also kind of fallen out a little bit to an extent with Benfica of all teams. Who in their own right have a ton of youth talent, right? And guys that they can rely upon. But it'd be kind of crazy, bro. It'd be kind of crazy again, right? MLS has seen one very good Benfica striker make their way over to the league and has done well off rip. I got to believe that Cabral will do the same thing. Do you have any kind of preference in terms of who you guys bring in?
I mean, yeah, Cabral definitely looks like a player that could help us for sure. I mean, he obviously could help most teams in MLS, but if he's ultimately the best fit, I'm not exactly sure. But I feel like yes, he will score goals. He will be clinical. He will be an imposing force in the box. Yes, obviously we were also linked to Emmanuel Latte-Lath of Middlesbrough, and he seems a little bit more dynamic of a player. He seems like a guy who can, with pretty much left foot, right foot, heading, as well as making smart runs in behinds, playing on the last line, also taking men on by himself. He can also be a one-man counterattack as well. I think there's a reason why he costs more a little bit as well. There is the aspect though, are Middlesbrough effing around too much, and not really taking this too seriously. Maybe trying to wait for a Prem team to come in on him. There is that aspect. Obviously, yeah, it's not quite the end of the transfer window yet, but Atlanta United can't wait around, and so we have to make some striker move, but we're going big. And that's the aspect that I really love, is that we're being ambitious. We're throwing the weight around that we know we always have, but it's not just for players that are, okay, well, they're maybe over the hill, but they're a big name, or they're a player that, okay, by name they might be somebody that we should be going for. No, it's players that I think we're targeting for various reasons that can actually help us tactically on the pitch. That actually, involves the type of play that Ronnie Dyla wants to play, and I think that's ultimately what we have to do, because we just lost the preseason match to Chattanooga FC, which I mean, whichever.
It's preseason, man. It's preseason.
but still, we look bereft of any sort of ideas, some just aggressiveness. I mean, for a first showing, this is why, yeah, I feel like we need to have uh, pretty much at least the preseason or like the season start a little bit later, because I mean, it's just, these type of preseason matches, like what are they really achieving for anybody? It's it's not an exhibition that I think people want to see. And yeah, you want to
Fair
have
enough.
your best players ready for the preseason, not showing up the day before the first game of the season starts.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a very valid point. It makes you feel better though, right? We also saw Miami draw to Lexington, right?
Mhm.
In the USL as well. So, I mean, and like they got Messi and the whole crew. Messi was the only one who scored, bro. They tied 1-1. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's not all doom and gloom. I do just I hold no stock in preseason, just
Mhm.
none. To me, it's like we might as well bypass it because I'm not going to learn anything from these games. I kind of want to see my team play. That's the itch that it's scratching, right?
Mhm.
But I think in terms of just putting a bow on the striker signing, the price tag, then the context around that's going to be very, very key. Like if Atlanta's
Mhm.
willing to spend 10 million more to get this Boro striker, I think it's going to be interesting and a layer of pressure that will continue to creep up throughout the season. Not that there won't be any pressure on Cabral because 10 and 12 million is not anything to scoff at, but I think
Yeah.
the expectations might be a little more realistic in terms of whatever his production might look like,
Mm.
just due to the fact that you spend 10 million less on him, right? And
Well,
again, the Boros
it's
striker thing
actually
might be PR, but yeah.
yeah. So I think the latest is that Cabral, I think it's 16 plus 2 in incentives.
Oh, it's
But
16 plus 2. Okay.
right.
Got
And
it.
then, so, I think Tom Boger, he mentioned that it's probably 18, if it's with incentives or not. With Latte Lath, it's about 20. So the difference is not huge, but it
Okay.
is definitely, it shows the levels of, kind of, I guess, the potential that we see and what the market rate might be for, a striker like Latte Lath versus a Cabral. So yeah, I mean, I think while the fees might be marginal, I think the levels between the two players, I mean, I like Latte Lath as a player much better than Cabral in terms of the fit.
Sure.
But as far as confidence in both, I think both can score goals. It's just a matter of, okay, well, can we break down a deep lying side that is just parking the bus? I mean, yeah, that's where I think the difference between the 2 million for Cabral and a Latte Lath will really come in. And you know, I- if it's either one of them, I'm good with it, because it's having a striker, having one of those two strikers is better than not, and having to
Facts.
maybe, yeah, maybe having to go in with with the backup striker. Yeah, not exciting for my book, but yeah.
Yeah. Either way, man, I think no matter what, they're going to spend big on a striker. I think any fan from Atlanta or just around the league wants to see their team doing just that. So the fact that it's not just stopping with Miggy, that there's going to be another flashy attacking signing coming pretty soon, it's just got to make you feel like we're ready for the season to start. And speaking of, right, just kind of wrapped up today's video, kind of curious from your side. Let's say you go out, right, regardless of which striker we really pick, right? We go out, get a splashy striker. The attack looks pretty solid all the way around. Even if no defensive signings do come in, how do you feel about this coming season, right? We saw where Atlanta finished in playoffs this past year in 2025. How much do we level up?
Hmm. Yeah, I think with the addition of Mateus Click as well, and you basically have someone else that can also create, who can also make goals happen from midfields. That's one of the things that we needed. We probably need one more player to actually be able to score goals from midfield to really spread it around. So maybe for that reason, and for a little bit light on the fullback position in terms of that's because Brooks Lennon starts the season pretty much injured. We're going to rely on a very kind of shorthanded bench, and when you have to rely on that, you're going to be a little bit more kind of uh, just under the under the gun a little bit. Every
Sure.
player is going to be playing more minutes, and you know, that's going to affect things. I think ultimately we can make the top four. I think we're that type of talent, type of team, if we can obviously get the striker that we want. If we don't, obviously that's a different story. But you know, given that, you know, as well as this though, we're not in the U.S. Open Cup, so okay, we will miss out on having to play those games. More match fitness for our players. That's possibly a good thing.
Yep.
But I probably would have liked to be in more cup competitions. So that's, I think we probably would have been able to win one of the two, because you know, having these type of attacking players, I mean, it just adds to a lot of depth to us. That's just really makes it difficult for teams to kind of defend against us, to line up against us. I mean, you know, having two really pacey technical players on the wings and one of these potential strikers, I mean, yeah, not many teams in the league have all of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think there's a lot of promise. So I think, yeah, we can make some moves in Leagues Cup, probably further than we have ever before. We'll give it that because we've crashed out every single time. So that's a very low bar. But the season as well, I think, yeah, you know, top four, like I said, I think playoffs, we can probably make a deep-ish run as well.
Yeah, not a bad shout, man. Not a bad shout at all. And look, man, I mean, like every team kind of has their cup competitions they're picking. Like even from Dallas' perspective, like we're in Open Cup, but not in Leagues Cup this season. So, you know, there's just again, it's all the nuance of Major League Soccer. But at least when it comes to the regular season, I firmly expect Atlanta to be up there for not just the fact of signing Almiron and bringing him back, but just what that will mean, right? I mean, bro, the first game. The first home game at Mercedes-Benz is going to be insane, insane. And I'm excited, man, to just tune in as a neutral and really kind of just absorb it all. I'm sure Miggy will be excited. His whole family will be excited as well. But I think that for a lot of reasons, Atlanta United has always been a hard team to play, regardless of the roster. And now the pieces are coming together in a big way. And whether they come together and form that chemistry really early on or not, right? We've seen it before. Teams can start slow and they find a way to bounce back, catch fire, and before you know it, they're a top 4, top 5 team in their conference. So I'm expecting a lot of that from LA United as well. But look, man, we'll see how it all unfolds. That the transfer window is not done. Keep an eye out for a flashy striker signing. It's going to be a big one when Bogart announces. Man, he's our little version of Fabricio. We'll kind of see what LA United's going to be up to ahead of the 2025 season. AJ, again, bro, thank you so much for jumping on today. I appreciate it. As always, guys, as I always do, down in the description below, going to link everything Atlanta United Fan TV. Go check them out. You want to keep up with this whole saga? You want to get more content on Miggy, right? All of those things in between. That's where you want to be. Look, they'll get you covered down there. Outside of that, if you like the video, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, like the video down below, subscribe to GOLZ TV for more weekly Major League Soccer content now and through the 2025 season. From everybody here at Wake Up MLS, my name's Jose. That's AJ. Catch you guys next time.